Welcome to Let's Get Into It. I am your host, Sherelle Higgins. Let's Get Into It is a safe space to have real conversations that are meant to uplift, encourage, and let you know you are not the only one dealing with life. Each episode of Let's Get Into It is designed to provide illuminating and thought-provoking information on a variety of topics. In fact, no topic is off limit. If you would like to see a topic discussed, please feel free to make a recommendation. My special guest and I will have a great time discussing topics that the mainstream media wouldn't dare discuss. We will bring these conversations to you with an open mind, respectfully, from different perspectives, and most importantly, with love. Thank you for joining me and my special guest. Now, let's get into it. Hello. Welcome to 2025. I am your host, Sherelle Higgins, and this is Let's Get Into It. You know, I've been thinking a lot about what I wanted to do with this podcast in 2025. And my guest today has helped me realize what the vision is. And the vision is to highlight more young adults who are young, Black, and excellent. And so I am going to do my part this year in highlighting what our young adults are doing that is positive. And so if you have a young adult who is out here doing what they are supposed to be doing to advance their life, I would like for you to DM me and put me in touch with them, because I would love to have them on this podcast. And with that being said, I would like to introduce you to Miss Brianna Moreland. Welcome, Brianna.
Hi, it's an honor to be here. Thanks for inviting me on the show.
Cool. So, Brianna, just so the audience get a chance to get to know you, I'm going to ask you some questions around, like my first question is, where are you from?
I'm from Chicago, the south side of Chicago. I recently moved when I was in high school to the south suburbs, like the South Lane area, Richland Park, and Matson area.
Okay. And what high school did you graduate from?
South Lane College Prep.
Okay. And you know, Chicago is my first love. Not in the wintertime, but definitely in the summertime, because yes. I'm not built like that anymore. I can't handle
my last winter in Chicago. Or in Illinois, I should say.
Okay. And Brianna, what college did you attend?
I went to Texas Southern University. It's a HBCU in Houston, Texas.
Okay, and why did you choose that school? One time for the HBCUs.
Yes, so first I wanted to go to Howard University, but unfortunately I didn't get accepted. But I know God's rejection is a blessing somewhere else. So I still knew I wanted to go to the HBCU. And we would visit Houston a lot during my high school years. So I was like, Mom, I think I want to go to Texas Southern. We visited the campus. It was a really nice campus. The people were really nice. And I would just follow them on Instagram throughout my high school journey. And I was like, yeah, I want to go there. And then I applied. I got in. Financial aid was a little slow, but as far as getting in and getting everything together, that was my choice.
Okay, and so a lot of times young adults follow in their parents' footsteps as far as college is concerned. And so did your parents go to Texas Southern?
No, my mother went to Grambling State, so still in the South area, still HBCU. During my freshman year, she actually flew into Houston, grabbed me and my friend to make sure we went to their homecoming so I can see how GSU does it.
Yes, and of course I went to the Virginia State University, and so, you know, again, one time for the HBCUs. The HBCUs are turning out excellent young adults, and so I am so excited that you chose to go to an HBCU.
Yes.
And so what was your major?
My major was radio, television, and film. I didn't have a minor, which in hindsight, now I wish I did have a minor, but it's fine. Everything works out how it's supposed to.
And so how did you know that that's what you wanted to major in?
So I when I was younger, like maybe 14 or 15, I always thought, like, what do I want to do? I know I don't want to sit in the office all day. I know I don't want to be like a doctor or something in the medical field. And I was watching The Breakfast Club, and I just kept watching the episodes with Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God, and DJ Envy. I just watched them like all the time. And I was like, my mom, as you can tell, my mom is the person I talk to about everything and kind of run my ideas through. I was like, Mom, I think I want to be a radio personality. And after that, my mama just put me in programs. Like, I remember coming to DC to do an internship during the summertime with the college radio station out there. So she just kept putting me in like DJ programs, radio programs, and everything like that. So I knew I wanted to do radio and television and film. But as time from 14 to going to college, I started realizing radio is declining. Everybody is telling news differently nowadays. So I still did radio, television, and film because it hit television and film. So I was writing scripts like with my own play, and still doing television classes. So I got to hit all three type of careers, different careers.
Okay. And so when you were in college, you identified a need. Tell us about the need that you identified and what the results of that was. What did you do to address that need?
So the need that I identified was financially. I knew my parents during my first year. I knew my parents kind of not struggled, but they kind of struggled to pay tuition. So I realized, okay, what can I do to help here? We got a scholarship. I was able to get in state with that scholarship. So I'm like, what can I do to help my parents? And I became an RA, so that paid for my room and board. So at some point after my freshman year, they didn't have to pay anything for college. So I graduated college debt free, and also I didn't have to pay anything after my first year. So I was like, no, I don't want them to pay anything. I just didn't want them to keep helping me. And then also another need that I saw was I started my own foundation where I give back trunks to incoming college freshmen. In my community, I wanted to be a pillar, and I just feel like we need somebody our age to kind of motivate us. When I graduated, I was motivated by the different people in the community that was giving out trunks and scholarships. So I told them, like, I want to be a pillar. I want to be an example. I want to be somebody that someone can come and talk to. So I started my own foundation. This will be our 6th year this year, going on our 6th year. Last year we celebrated our 5th year, but it's just I give back trunks to incoming college freshmen.
Okay, and how do you get in touch with those college freshmen?
So I put out an Instagram post, Facebook post, and different posts to wheel people in, or if you know somebody that you'll reach out and say, hey, I know this girl, she giving back trunks, fill out the application. And also I kind of reach out to my high school counselor because of course I want to give back to my high school as far as their students. So yeah, and I try to keep it now because we're just starting out, and I don't want it to get too big. I mean, you can never say how big or small you want something, just how it is, but to minimize, I don't want to say minimize. I don't want to say like I don't want to help as many people as I can, but when funds and grants start coming in, then I could be able to help more and more people, even though however many people apply, usually they get a trunk.
Okay, and what's the name of your foundation?
It's called the Buzzy Foundation.
How did you come up with that name?
So in high school, somebody called me Buzzy out of nowhere, and I just always stuck with that name. And I was like, Mom, let's make it the Buzzy Foundation. It's not really significant in what Buzzy, like any acronyms or anything, but that's just a name that I was given in high school and thought it was kind of cool.
Okay. And are there any requirements like they have to attend an HBCU or?
There's no requirements as far as what college you attend, but just make sure you're going to school. I don't really care about the GPA or anything like that. As long as you're doing it, you're going to school. You can show me an acceptance letter. We can talk on where you're going, what's your need, and different things like that. And then I also have a big event on the last Friday in July, typically, where students come in and they receive their trunk. It's like a whole hour ceremony where you get the trunk and you get advice from me and my friends that graduated or that are still in college. So after you receive the trunk 1 year, a lot of people come back and pour into the next recipient group.
Oh, that's so awesome, Brianna. We need more young adults doing that and seeing that, and just giving back in that way. Because, as you said, when they hear it from somebody that's in their age group, they're more likely to hear it as opposed to hearing it from their parents. So, kudos to you and your friends and everybody who has participated and supported the Buzzy Foundation. And so, is the Buzzy Foundation a nonprofit?
So. This is where I need help this year in finding someone that can walk me through the 501c3 process, because I know it's a very strenuous process. So I've been kind of looking, like even this week, I've been kind of looking to how to fill out the application. I saw something about an attorney and different things like that. So I just need to find someone that can help me, or just sit down and really try to figure it out myself.
Okay, so I will put you in touch with somebody.
Yay, thank you.
With that process.
Thank you.
Yes, definitely, because this is such a great thing, because so many young adults who are going to college, their parents just don't have it, right? Mm-hmm. And so the easier that you can make it for them, and ensure that when they get to college, they have those basic things that they need, is very important. And for people who are not necessarily familiar with the terminology of a trunk party or a trunk celebration, can you explain a little bit more, like what types of things are in the trunk? Because here on the East Coast, I noticed that they don't use that terminology.
So a lot of people don't know, when I say trunk, they don't really know what that means. So I think it's a Chicago thing, maybe a Midwest thing, but definitely a Chicago thing. But it's basically a trunk. So say if you had, I don't want to say a container, but a box, but it's more so of like a trunk, like a storage trunk. And I fill it up with pillows, sheet sets, comforters, hangers, towels, irons, all the first base needs of college. So whatever you need in your room for your first base need. And even when I get the 501c3, because I'm claiming it, I'm doing it this year, I'm not playing around. I missed out on a lot of grants because you have to have a 501c3, like Walmart and different places like that require you to have grants. Have a 501c3 in order to get their grants. So yes. So hopefully we can do it even bigger and maybe do a scholarship, raffles, and different things like that. So.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's so important. Yeah. And again, kudos to you, because going off to college is already not an easy thing. And a lot of times, particularly young adults from the inner city, that's a lot of times their first time ever leaving the city of Chicago, or leaving the inner city. And so, there's a lot of anxiety associated with that. And the fact that you are willing to help them have the basic needs when they go, you kind of help ease some of that anxiety and the spirit of the unknown.
Definitely.
So when did you graduate?
So I graduated in 2023, May 13th.
You remember the exact date, right? Okay. So let's talk about your journey into journalism. Mm-hmm. So you briefly mentioned earlier about doing some internships. What type of internships did you do?
So my sophomore year of college, the summer, I did an internship with JLL. It's a commercial real estate company. I was just helping with their general work, and then also talking to PR people and different people in the marketing industry there. And then after that, I did one with WVON. It's a radio station in Chicago. And then after that, after I graduated, I applied for an internship at ABC7, and I didn't get it that time, but that didn't stop me. Nothing can really stop me from doing what I really want. And I knew this is something I want. This is something, I didn't want to give up on my dream of being a reporter or an anchor. So I was like, Mom, it's another internship opened in November. At the time, I was working in PR. I worked for a minority-owned PR company called Rise in Chicago. Amazing company and amazing with PR. And I applied during my time there. I was full-time there as an associate, and I applied for ABC7, and I got the internship again working with Samantha Chapman as an investigative intern.
Okay, and how was that experience for you?
It was
Did it like further spark the interest in that field, or?
So what I would say is, getting a degree in radio, television, and film isn't the same thing as journalism. So you kind of dabble in journalism, but you don't fully learn everything in journalism. And that's why I say I should have picked up the minor. I would have picked it up in journalism, but my focus was radio at the time. And maybe towards the end of my senior year, I was like, okay, I think I want to be a news reporter, because I saw the industry. What else? How else can I tell news? Even though the news industry is changing, a lot of people don't watch news anymore. They more so get off their phone, or they not waiting to 5, 6, 7 o'clock to get news that they saw on their phone at 3 o'clock when the situation happened. So it's everlasting change. You just have to adapt to the times. So the internship was amazing. I didn't have really as much journalism skills, just a little. So everything I learned with journalism, I learned it at ABC7 with the best journalists in the world in Chicago. Like, I worked with Samantha Chapman, Val Warner, Ryan Cheverini, Trey Ward, Terrell, Tanya, everybody you can think of. I worked with them, and it was just amazing. They really sparked something in me. My favorite was Christian Picos, one of my favorites, I should say. Every time I would shadow him, he would just offer very sound advice. And I remember one day I did a practice anchor set, and he literally sat down with me and watched from beginning to end and gave me pointers on what to do. Hey, don't do this. Hey, do this, and read it like this. Just giving me pointers, and it wasn't it just made me feel like, okay, somebody cares. And even when I got the job as a reporter, I reached out to everybody and let them know, and they were so happy for me. So that just meant a lot, that people actually care and can sew into you.
It's so important to have people like that in your life. I remember many years ago when I first started my career, I was working for a Black female who took an interest in me. And she did the same thing with me. She sat me down and she walked me through, this is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to do it. Don't wear that in here no more. This is how you dress when you come into the office. And so that turned out to be the most valuable feedback that I ever received in my entire career. And so it is always good to have a champion and to have a mentor and people who can give you honest feedback without being offensive, right? And making sure that you understand that if you want to succeed in this business, these are the things that you need to kind of pay attention to. So I'm so happy to hear you say that several people have taken an interest in you and gave you that guidance.
And I have, I'm sorry. And I have definitely, now that you say mentor and everything, my mentor and the person that you said set me down, or hey, don't wear this nose ring, do this with your hair, this and that, is Darlene Hill. She worked at Fox in Chicago for however long, and she worked at Rock. She really helped me with my career, because she is the person that got me on with Rise, which is the PR company, and also Tara Cooper Wright. She also helped me and was my mentor too. They're like my big sisters. And then after that, Darlene had a part in helping me with my ABC internship, and ever since then, she helped me through my career. I can say that she is the person that helped me get to where I am today. And I still talk to her. I send her my clips. She tell me, hey, next, slow down. You're not an aggressive person. You don't have to say yes. So yes, Darlene Hill and Tara Cooper Wright.
And so one of the things I notice about people in your age group, your generation, is that they don't take feedback well.
Mm.
So where do you think you develop that ability to be able to take that type of feedback?
So for me, I feel like somebody only trying to help you. Like, you don't know everything. They've been in this career. They live longer than you. So don't take it as they're trying to knock you. They're where they want to be. Why would they try to knock you? Now, some people, I have dealt with someone who had their way of, um, I don't know, but they,
Not being supportive.
yeah, like fake supportive, if that,
Right.
but they were. It's okay. Like, you just take that feedback and, yep, okay, but it's backhanded, and you move on from it. You don't take it. You got to keep your feelings out of it when you're trying to grow for yourself. So I just knew that I don't know anything, especially not knowing a lot about journalism. How can I feel some type of way about somebody else telling me what they've been through or what they know for sure, and I don't feel like I know anything. So I just really know it's for the betterment of myself. That's what I always want to do, no matter where I am in life. It's always better myself. So, and if you feel some type of way about it, maybe just sit down and say, hey, maybe next time say it like this and that. But I just know it's for the betterment of me.
Okay. And you mentioned somebody, because I think this part is very, very important. That somebody talked to you about the nose ring and how to wear your hair. I think that, this part is very important because we have so many different generations in the workplace. And the oldest generation that's in the workplace has a certain idea of what the workplace should look like. And so, can you talk to us about why it is so important to show up for work looking like you're ready for work?
Yes. So with the nose ring situation, my first day of my internship, somebody said to me, you have to choose. They put it in a way that maybe I didn't understand at first, or they were trying to be nice about it. When I can take, even though they didn't know me, it's my first day. It's my first day, so they kind of said like, hey, you're gonna have to choose whether you're gonna wear your nose ring all the time or you're gonna take it out, because in your reel, which is something you need to get to the next level in news, in your reel you're gonna need to be consistent. So you either have to wear it in or out. So I took it as, okay, I'll just wear it or whatever, a small one, really small stud. And I'm not really sold on anything, especially growing. So I wasn't really sold on the fact that I had a nose ring, but I kind of thought it was an option per se. But later on, it was another conversation that was had like, oh yeah, just somebody else said, just take it out. And I just took it out. Like, it wasn't a problem to take it out. Once I knew what, that's basically what was recommended. So,
Yeah.
So I definitely think it's, especially in news, you have to, like, I can't just switch my hair when I want to switch my hair. Like, in my contract, I have to ask my news director, like, how can I switch my hair? Or, because you want your viewers to know who you are. So if you keep switching your hair, some people may think, oh, that's not her, or, things like that. So I have to keep my hair long and curled and everything like that, or keep it the same way. I have to have a conversation with my news director about how I want to switch my hair. But yes, it's definitely important to be presentable when you go to work. So, like, no skin out, or just look nice. Make sure your hair is combed. No really like loud colors. You could do color, but no loud colors and different things like that, because I have worked in like corporate, and news is way different as far as how you work, because corporate is a little bit more lenient. So as far as news, but they're not lenient for sure. So yeah, it's just very important to show up, because you never know what opportunities are out there, who's going to be in the office and different things like that. So I definitely think is make sure your clothes are clean, your shoes are clean, you wear a nice pair of shoes, a nice pair of pants, blazer. Maybe keep a blazer. I keep a blazer at my desk just in case. You never know. I was called all the time to meetings during my PR days, like, hey, come to this meeting with us, and I'll maybe have on a regular shirt. Oh, I have a blazer sitting there and I can just grab it. Keep a pair of heels at your desk, a nice pump at your desk. So yeah, I think it's important. Maybe a little lipstick. I'm just getting into lipstick. I don't have on any right now. I left them at work, but I'm getting into lipstick because news I have to wear a little lipstick. But I'm trying to get into it. I know us young people don't really care for lipstick. We're more of gloss.
Okay. Look,
Yeah.
and it's so important to know, right, your industry, because there are different standards for different industries. And you said something that really piqued my interest and made me have an aha moment. Particularly when you were talking about your hair, and you were talking about, you got to go and really talk to them before you change it up. And I know that there's a sportscaster that is on TV, and I'm always like, why does she wear her hair like that? Like, why don't she like what like what is really going on? And now it makes sense, right?
Yes.
That's the look for her, right? And so now to respect it from a different perspective, as opposed to trying to understand like just the why. And I just think it's just so important. I know when I was in the workforce, I had younger generations working for me, and I would have those conversations with them. I remember one time this lady came to work, and we were having a huge award ceremony, and we were the planners, the coordinators, the implementers of the award ceremony. And the day of the ceremony, she was responsible for being in the front on the stage to hand the awards to the director of the agency. And she had on a skirt that looked see-through.
And you're in the front handing out the awards.
I was like, that's not gonna work. There's a Target up the street. I need you to go spend $10 on a pair of pants or something, just a black skirt, because you cannot be up in the front of an entire agency with a skirt on that looks see-through. And of course, she was sort of offended, but I didn't care, because I'm like, you work for me, you're a direct reflection of me, and I'm just not going to put you out there like that, because those types of things can ruin your career. Those are the type of things that people will remember about you for the rest of your career, and then they would be more hesitant to give you opportunities because they don't know how you're going to show up. And so when I was in the workplace, after my first supervisor pulled my coattail, because I'll never forget this. I had on this long black skirt, and it was like it went down to the floor, but in the back it had a long split. She was like, ever. Yeah. And after that, I was like, got it. And then, I just moved from that to, as my team used to say, looking like I was walking the red carpet every day. Right? Because one of the things she explained to me is, if you dress nice and appropriate and you don't have to spend a lot of money on the clothes, she said, people will automatically think you smart. And that was just some valuable experience that I tried to give back to people who worked for me. And so, taking the time to really hone in on this is just so important, as opposed to people saying, you can't tell me what to wear. I can wear whatever I want to. It don't matter what I have on. And she wasn't even in your generation. She was in the generation between me and you. And she came to work, and she had on a jacket, and on the back of the jacket it said, "Don't talk to me."
Oh.
Work? No, ma'am. Don't wear that in here no more, because we are going to talk to you. And so those kinds of things are just so important. And if you don't have anybody to take an interest in you and give you that kind of feedback, you won't even realize why you're stuck in a place in your career.
Definitely.
So thank you for indulging us with that conversation, particularly for your generation. Now, once your generation rises up and become the leaders, maybe things can change, and it won't matter what you have. maybe it won't matter. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But that is just really, really important. And so let's talk about when you got that call to offer you the job that you currently have. What was your first reaction?
My first reaction when I first got the call was I was at work. I was at my PR company because after my internship, I went back to my PR company for a little while just to enjoy my summer because I knew with news, your holidays, everything is done. You can't really travel, like, no. So I'm like, okay, I'll enjoy the rest of my summer. But in September, October, I'm applying for jobs. So October came, I applied. I went to meet them. I came to Champaign, from Chicago to Champaign to meet them. Everything happened so fast. Monday or Tuesday of the next week, it was on a Friday. Tuesday, I got a call from the news director. She was like, Brianna, we really liked you. Like, I want to offer you the job. And I just could not stop smiling. My mentor was at work that day, Darlene Hill. I went to go get her. Darlene, she called me back. Like, I was so excited. I was so happy. And I was overwhelmed.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just very overwhelmed.
Okay, so when you started applying, because I can imagine that depending on what your occupation is, there's different ways of applying for jobs. So how do you apply to become a reporter?
So so first you need a reel. So a reel is maybe 6 stand-ups, which is you maybe in a location saying, behind me, there was a hurricane, and this is the breeze from the hurricane, and it's just like 6 to 10 seconds of 6 clips of you kind of giving an example and then talking through an accident or incident that may have happened. And then after that is 2 packages. Packages are what you see in the news, where you have somebody tracking, which is a voiceover, and then an interview, and then you have a few sound bites, which is like 4 or 5, and you have an intro and outro. So you have 2 of those, and then it makes up like a 6-minute package. I was told your reel should be no longer than like 7 to 8 minutes, but really you should stay between the 6 and 7 minute mark. So you put together your reel. Maybe a lot of people put it through college, or maybe you go out on your own. A few times I went out on my own with my friend. I took her out. Hey, come shoot this with me. I have my own mic and I did a stand up, or from a story that may have happened. Like, I remember I went to Tinley Park because they're getting a new sports complex. So I stood in front of the sports complex and talked about the construction going on. So you just basically showcase what you can do, what you know, and they listen to your writing, how you sound, and how you present the information. Then you put together that, and then you go to different websites and different broadcast companies, and you fill out the application. Pretty much, if you have the reel, it's really easy. You just put in your name, your regular information. You may have to do a cover letter for some. I did some cover letters, some not. It just depends. I did over like 70 applications, and all my applications were for Illinois and Texas. I knew I didn't want to go anywhere else because I want to be around family. And I love Texas, and I love Chicago sometimes, not during the winter time. So I'm struggling here right now, but it's fine. After that, I applied, and I didn't hear nothing for about, I would say, a month. And I broke down at church one day and just asked God, like, at that point I started applying for PR jobs, because I'm like, well, I got to make a change. I don't want to. I love my PR company, but Chicago is just not where I want to be. Like, it's just not. So, and I knew after college I wanted to be in Texas, but it didn't work out that way. Everything works out how it's supposed to. So after, I was just at a point where I want to either go to Texas and do a PR job or be in news. But I know I couldn't give up on my news stream. So one day at church, I broke down and I asked God, if you want me to stay, focus on news, give me a sign, some type of sign. That same week, literally, I got an email from a news director saying they wanted to have an interview. That was my first conversation / interview with someone within news, but I knew that was God telling me, stop pursuing PR right now. You may have to go back, but right now, just focus on being a newscaster. Like, this is what you want to do, or this is what you want to try out, because I say I'll give this 2 years. If I like it, I'll stay. If I don't, I just want to give myself options. I never want to look back and say, this is, I wanted to do this. I should have did this. Mm-hmm. So I didn't get, for some reason, the man told me he would reach out next week. He told me the timeline next week, and I had to do a writing prompt, but he never said anything. But in between that time, I start getting emails back to back just from news directors saying they want to interview. I had over maybe 5 interviews, and when I accepted my job, I started to get so many emails. I'm like, I should have waited longer. But like I said, everything works out how it's supposed to be. Like, I think my last email I got, because I haven't applied, of course, or anything, the last email I got was like 2 weeks ago. Somebody just saying they want to interview, and I'm like, no, I already accepted. But you just have to be patient. It took a lot to be patient, especially for I would say 3 weeks to a month. It wasn't fully a month, but it was knocking on a month, and I was just like, it's not working out for me. But it ended up working out. Sometimes, like I said, I wish I would have waited a little longer as far as Texas, because a lot of Texas stations started to reach out. But then I realized, no, I'm exactly where I need to be. I'm close to home. I'm learning a lot. I appreciate where I'm at because everybody is nice. They're friendly. A lot of times you hear in news people can be rude and mean and different things like that. But that's with any industry, but it's a lot.
Yeah. That is sure.
Yeah. So I know I'm in the right space. Like, this is the best situation that I could be in right now. Close to home. My mom comes out here all the time. I go home every weekend. I only stayed out here 1 weekend. I'm upset about that. But in 2 weeks, I'll be here and be able to enjoy my apartment. Haven't decorated or anything yet, but.
Okay. So you get that call and you go through the process of getting your start date. What was your first day like?
So my first day was a little slow. Your first weeks are a little slow with the corporate training, and you got to meet with everybody in the company and talk to HR and all this. So my first 2 weeks were a little slow. Not too bad. It was just trainings, mm-hmm. meeting people, going out, shadowing reporters, shadowing photogs. Yeah, so it was kind of slow, but I was happy. I was so happy to be there. I was like, this time finally come.
Okay, so at this point, because you have surpassed the first couple weeks, do you now appreciate and understand why those weeks are set up the way that they are?
Yes, for sure. I knew going in, like, this is supposed, like, it was just like, okay, I'm ready to get my feet wet with something. Me just didn't want to get out in the field, but I knew those weeks were needed. I appreciate those weeks because it's nonstop now. Go to work every day. I look up. I hardly even take my breaks. I look up. It's already 10 o'clock. I work 1:30. I work night side, so 1:30 to 10:30. So I look up. It's already 10 o'clock, and I'm like, time go. And during the 2 weeks, of course, you're like, okay, time moving slow. I finished my training early, so yeah, you appreciate time.
So walk us through what a typical day is like for you. Like, what do you do when you get to work?
Okay, so a typical day is I go in at 1:30. I prepare pitches. So between the beginning of the week, or I have my eyes on the ground on Facebook or on the newspapers, and just keep your ears and eyes on the ground to see and hear what's going on in the community. So you will turn in your pitches I usually turn them in by 2 o'clock, sometimes earlier, but turn in 3 pitches. So pitches are your story ideas. So yesterday I did a story on a property tax increase here for the city of Champaign, the township here. Mm-hmm. So they want to increase property tax because the homeless shelter here was going, their funding was based off of COVID funds, but that fund is running out. It's expiring. So now they need to get funding somewhere. So, and the man told me the only way to get funding is through the property tax, something with Illinois. So voters voted on it last November. So now they voted on it again in April because this is a need for the community. They told me if they don't get this, people will be out on the street freezing. So you just find stories like that that's meaningful to the community, impactful. So I went to a city council meeting. But after you turn in your pitches, then you join at 2. You have a 15-minute kind of space. I usually probably like do my makeup if I didn't do it beforehand, just to be prepared for the day. Or I'll clear my desk or go through my emails or something like that. But when I'm at home, I'm checking my emails and everything to make sure I'm caught up on everything. So at 2:15, you go to a content strategy meeting, which is the meeting where you get assigned your story. So out of the 3 stories, you may be doing 2 or 1. It just depends on what they choose for you. Your news directors, other reporters are in the room, producers, anchors, everybody's in the room to kind of do a touch base. And then after that, you go to your desk. I kind of go back to my desk or walk around and get on the phone with people to set up interviews for the day or get information and different things like that. After I set up the interviews, I try to set them up about 3:30 because I am on night side. So it's kind of harder to get interviews because people have a long day. They don't want to talk after 2 o'clock, So sometimes I do prepare early. Like I'll set up something, like I have something set up for Thursday already because they want to be prepared and get put on the calendar opposed to just popping up. So you do try to plan ahead, but all the time you never know what story you're going to get. So you may have to cancel an interview. So after that, you go to the interview, you do your story, you get the B-roll. So B-roll is, say if I was doing a story on city council, I'll get outside of city council, get the city council meeting, get the city council building in the inside, and that'll be your B-roll for the story. So that's the video where it's nobody talking or you're talking over the video. After that, you come back to the station, you send an update like, hey, I got the interview, I got the B-roll. Maybe if you don't get a call or somebody to do the interview with or whatever, you just tell your team like, hey, I didn't get it. Either you will redirect to a different story or they'll give you some suggestions on who else you should call. Then after that, you kind of put your story together, you package it up and you record, you edit, you write, you send your script to the team so they can approve it. And then after that, you get to go ahead to edit and record. And then that's the end of your day. And then you watch your show. And then after you watch the show, you have to do your web script. So that's when you post on the web, kind of like your story, and you put the clip up. And then after that, you post on social media, and then it's time to go home after that. Very long day. Yeah.
So this sounds very interesting. Of course, when I was coming through, there were very few people who looked like us on TV. And so I didn't even know that was an option. And so that sounds like a very interesting day because there's always something going on. Definitely. And I saw a clip of you the other day where you went on a ride along.
Oh, yeah.
And so talk to us about that story.
So we had a snowstorm here in Illinois. So I live in yeah, it was crazy. And I had to report on it on Sunday, all day Sunday. I was outside in the snow with my snow boots reporting. So Monday was the day I did the ride along. So I reached out to a tow trucking company. I wanted to reach out to IDOT, but I know somebody else was doing that story. So I reached out to a tow trucking company and they let me do a ride along with one of their drivers. So we did. So they told me all morning. So I don't want mornings. I kind of missed the opportunity to do a ride along where they pulled somebody out of a ditch, but because of the snowstorm. But I know somebody got into an accident during the snowstorm, and we took their car back to them. They had to tow it to their yard, and then we towed it to their house. So that was pretty cool. It was a really cool experience to see like what goes on. Like you just hear them on their speakers, like. You know how police have speakers, different things. They kind of have that same system, like 10-4, 15. Yeah. So that was pretty cool to do the ride along. Very eventful. The person was very accepting of us coming because I was a little nervous. Like, these people don't want us to just show up at their house with our camera, but they were very accepting and nice about it. Yeah, it was really nice to do a ride along. I enjoyed that experience. That's one thing I love about the job. Like I said, I don't want to sit down and always on a computer or different things like that. I just like to move around. So that's one thing. You meet a lot of people. You can enjoy a lot of things. Like I know somebody that rode in a private jet, not private jet, but like a private plane before for a news story. Like it's so many different stories out there. Like it's fun. It's never a dull day.
And no two stories are the same, right?
No, not at all. Not at all.
And it is it sounds like every day is different.
Yes.
Right.
Sure.
And you just don't know what the experience of the day is, which can be very exciting because most people go to work and they already know what they got to do. They got to push this same button that they've been pushing for the last 3 days.
That's how I was in PR, and that's when I was like, yep, I still want to do news. Because like I will say the money is way better in PR and different jobs, but with news, you have to, like any other job, you have to start off small and work your way back up. But yes, no story is the same. Like the most heartfelt story that I did so far, I've been there for a month and a half, and I did a triple homicide in Muhammad, Illinois. I covered that story, and the man went to Chicago, and he was killed by the police. So that was heartfelt, but a really, really heartfelt story was someone's daughter was killed in July of this year, and her cousin was like her brother cousin. I have those cousins too. They're like my brothers. We grew up in the same house or went to school together since we were little kids and everything like that. So her cousin actually went to city council and advocated for her to have an honorary street here in Champaign. So that was very heartfelt. Like they came to the station. I did the interviews with the mom and dad and the cousin, and we talked for like an hour and a half. Like we just talked. It was so sad because she wanted to be a nurse and different things. She had just graduated high school. She was going to college. So it just it didn't remind me of myself, but it kind of reminded me of myself. And they talked about how she wants to give back and different things like that. So that was really like heartfelt and kind of like stroking emotion out of me. Because it's hard to kind of get emotion, especially in this business. You have to kind of be like that because you do deal with all type of situations that that some people can't stomach. But that was very heartfelt, and I really enjoyed that story as far as being able to tell the story.
That's really good that you're not pigeonholed into telling the same type of story, that you just get such a variety of stories, and being able to, go from something really serious to something fun to report on is really just kind of showing your range, right? Because I noticed that in media, particularly TV, reporters, they do have to check their emotions and ensure that their emotions or their personal opinions doesn't come out in their stories. So do you have any strategies that you use to kind of check your emotions, particularly for some of those more serious situations that you report on?
Yes, I just think that in the back of my head, I know you can't be emotional or you can't show your own kind of opinion. Like sometimes I will, like, of course, starting off, you kind of learn as you go. So when a manager does check my script, maybe one time it was like, oh, that sounds a little biased. It wasn't too deep into it, but viewers will call in and say different things or point out different things. So definitely have to watch being biased, opinionated, and different things like that. So you just want to keep it really general. And my thing is, I let the sound bites speak for themselves. So I'll just say, I talked to the supervisor of the city of Champaign, and he says, and he tells us about how this is affecting the community. And he says how it's affecting the community rather than me saying how it affects the community. So I let them kind of talk, and I just do a quick brief on what they're about to say, or they're going to tell us about the community. And I just let the sound bites talk to take my bias out of it. So yeah, you have to really pay attention to that because it won't end well.
We know these social media streets are vicious, and what are you doing? Because you are going to, I'm going to just put this out here now. You are going to be somebody that we are all going to recognize,
Oh,
right?
thank you.
And I'm just telling you,
Thank
your
you.
future is bright. And so, how are you going to prepare for social media? Because it's only going to get more vicious as the more you elevate, the more vicious people become.
Knowing a lot of times how I get even over people, how I think about stuff is probably not the best way. They don't have their lives together. We all, this is our first time living. Like, even when I think I got in, like, I wouldn't say in trouble, but I kind of got corrected on something. I had to kind of like tell myself, mistakes happen. People don't have their life together. It's okay. Everybody, we all live in the same, and I just know that it is what it is. Like, they can have their opinions. You don't know me personally. In that situation, they did, but social media, you don't know me personally. It's okay. Like, I don't even think I would respond to that. Like, I know sometimes it can be hard, and it depends on what somebody is saying, and especially if they don't have the right information, or you feel like that's not how I am or whatever. You just gonna have to know who you are. You have to be comfortable in your skin and know who you are, and just block out what they have to say. I know that can be hard though.
I had an experience when COVID first happened, and we didn't know a lot about COVID at the time. It was real new. And so the local newspaper here did a story on us. And I didn't even realize, I mean, I knew they published the story, but somebody sent it to me and said, oh, check out these comments. And one of the comments said, y'all must be stupid. Why would you do X, Y, and Z knowing that COVID was out there? Okay, at that point, nobody in the country really knew COVID was out there like that. And so, I said, I did respond, right? And I just said, I'm just going to pray that you and your family don't catch COVID. And I just left it at that, right? But then after that, I was like, I ain't responding to nobody else. And, I try to, monitor, because you don't even have to be somebody famous for people to come for you. And so at this point, I'm just like, don't come on my page. Don't put nothing in my comments that is ignorant, that, is, you just trying to come for me, because I'm just going to delete it. It's not going to go well.
I think that's what it is. Just blocking out, because I feel like when you do respond, it just makes it 10 times worse. It brings more attention. Like, a lot of times when celebrities and people don't comment on stuff, of course, like, even me, like, when I see celebrities and different people commenting on stuff, I'm like, why do people feel the need to give their opinion? But that's how some people are. And I'll read the comments. You read them, but you only pay attention to the ones that the person that's being talked about responded to. That's the one that you kind of, ooh, she said this. So it's just better not to respond or even indulge in that. Everybody gonna have their opinion. Like, oh well. Like, I have an opinion too. Like, we can both have an opinion. So it doesn't really matter.
And it's good to probably not even read the comments, right? Yeah. Because like you said, these people don't know you. And so what difference does it make what they think of you? It's not going to impact your life in any way. And so, like, some celebrities I have a lot of respect for, because they just don't get in the fray at all. They don't care what nobody say about them. They don't chime in. They just like whatever, and they just doing their business. And the first person who comes to my mind is Beyonce. She's very good at that, and so I appreciate that about her. Two more questions for you.
Okay.
One is, if there is somebody who is listening to this show and they want to become a journalist or a reporter, what's one piece of advice you would give them?
One piece of advice I would give them is don't settle. Really make sure you have your reel together. That's first. You need that to even get a foot in the door in the industry. They need to see what you can do. But when you do, don't settle. Apply for every and anything. So don't think because everything is about markets in Chicago. I mean, in the news industry. So Chicago is market 3, New York is market 1, LA is market 2. So and then the list keeps going down. Champaign is market 90. That's a good market to start in. It's like a medium small market. It's a great market to start in. Like you said, it's a range of stories. I dealt with the killing to a homicide to a party. Like, it's such a range. Accidents, fires, all different things. So you need a range of different things that you can do. But when you get that job, don't settle just for the first job that you get an offer. Make sure you get a few offers. Compare the offers. The money, what I will say is the money is not good starting out. So know in your head that the money is not great. So you want to maybe don't compare it for the money, but let that be a factor. Compare the area, compare the people, go down and visit the station because you want to know who you're working with. Because I feel like with any job, who you're working with can either make your job or break your job as far as you wanted to be there. So if that's the opportunity, go down and see how the station is, how it looks, what's the area it's in. Like, make sure you don't just take the first job. Like, actually, because you're on contract, so you're gonna have to work there for 2 years. Or with my company, after 1 year, I can move up in the company to a different station, but it has to be within that company. But other than that, I have to be there for 2 years. So yeah, make sure you don't settle.
Okay. Another great piece of advice that I received early in my career was don't chase the money will come.
For sure.
And that was not a lie.
Not a
So don't chase the money will come. Chase the experience. And so my last question for you, if you could manifest right now your ideal job where you would ultimately like to end, what would that be?
My ideal job would be definitely like Good Morning America, The View, somewhere big, like a big talk show host, or I just want to be a host. I love reporting. I feel like this is how you get your foot in the door. This is how you learn how to deal with situations just popping up and different things like that. But I definitely want to be on somebody's anchor desk, being a host, being something like that. Or even really, I know everything is kind of changing to social media and different things like that. So even I really wouldn't even mind also like having my own like a big podcast or talk show, something like that, like content creating or something like that. Like, I'm not stuck in news, but as far as news, I would definitely want to be on Good Morning America, one of those big platforms. Even like I say ABC7, I would definitely want to get back to ABC7.
Okay, it's coming. You just put it out there. God snatched it up and said, okay, I'm going to work it out for you.
Yes.
So, Brianna, thank you so very much. This was so great. Time always goes by so quickly. I am so proud of you, and you're going to do your thing, and I'm going to be cheering you on all the way.
Thank you.
So sit tight for me. I'm going to do my What the Hell segment, and then we're going to end this podcast. So let's talk about what the hell. As you can see, Brianna is just one example of young, Black, and excellent. Why the hell don't we promote this image more? We have a lot of young, Black, and excellent examples out there. Instead, most podcasts and most mainstream media only highlight those that aren't living right and attach it to our entire community. Well, I'm tired of being sick and tired of seeing the negativity. and seeing the negative images of who we are as a community. And so I have committed to doing my part to showcase the greatness that is going on with our young adults. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to showcase, because one of the things I want us to stop doing when it comes to our community is promoting negativity, promoting each other's downfall, and being more supportive of what goodness and greatness is out there in our communities. So we can all stop asking ourselves, what the hell? Thank you for joining me for my first podcast for 2025. I look forward to your continued support, and I will see you again on January 23rd. Have a great one. Thank you for joining and participating in Let's Get Into It. I want to thank my special guest for being brave enough to get into it. Without you, these conversations cannot happen. Remember, different viewpoints, respect, and love are the foundations of Let's Get Into It. If there's a topic you think I should discuss, drop me a recommendation. If you're interested in being my special guest, let me know, because we can and will get into it. Have a great day on purpose, and I look forward to your continued engagement and support as we get into it.